You probably never thought you'd see this day, but it's happening. Jake Paul, the YouTube sensation turned boxer, is stepping into the ring with one of the most feared heavyweights in the world, Anthony Joshua. It's a matchup that no one expected, yet somehow everyone is talking about. On one side, you have a man who has built his career around viral fights and online hype, and on the other, a world champion with knockout power that can end careers with a single punch. The stakes are enormous: money, reputation, and even personal safety. And the question on everyone's mind is simple: what could possibly go wrong? Anthony Joshua isn't just another fighter. He's a multi-time world champion, a man with a record full of devastating knockouts, and someone whose very presence in the ring commands respect. He's faced giants, legends, and contenders, and walked out on top more times than most boxers could dream of. Joshua's style is polished, his technique impeccable, and his power? Well, let's just say a single clean shot from him can leave an opponent seeing stars. On the other side of the ring, there's Jake Paul, a YouTuber who shocked the world by transitioning into boxing. He's fought exhibition bouts, taken on retired legends, and scored a few high-profile wins, but stepping into the ring with Joshua is a completely different challenge. This isn't about clicks or views anymore. This is about skill, preparation, and raw power. The danger for Jake Paul isn't just in facing a big name. It's in facing a knockout artist with the ability to end the fight at any moment. Even with the fight set under exhibition rules and 10-ounce gloves, the threat is real. Those gloves are lighter than the standard pro boxing gloves, which makes every punch hit harder. For Paul, a one-punch knockout could end the fight dramatically but safely. A clean, quick knockout minimizes cumulative trauma and gives him an exit without enduring prolonged punishment. But drag it out for 8 rounds, and the story changes entirely. Sustained hits, even from smaller punches, can cause serious long-term damage. That's the science behind boxing, and that's the risk Jake Paul is willingly taking. The possibility of surviving a round or two doesn't erase the danger, it just makes the suspense more thrilling for viewers. So why did this fight even happen? Why would Jake Paul, who could pick almost any opponent, choose the scariest heavyweight on the planet? The answer is a mix of strategy, spectacle, and pure business. Netflix is documenting the process, which means every punch, every training session, and every moment leading up to the fight becomes content. The goal isn't just a match, it's a story, a narrative built for mass audiences. Anthony Joshua brings legitimacy, credibility, and international acclaim to the event. He elevates the stakes, turning what could have been just another YouTube spectacle into a fight that mainstream sports fans can't ignore. Paul considered other opponents: Tommy Fury, Ryan Garcia, Terrence Crawford, but Joshua fit all the criteria Netflix and the audience wanted: a recognizable name, a global presence, and a chance to create drama. Analysts have been breaking down the matchup, and their opinions are stark. Joe Rogan calls Anthony Joshua one of the scariest men in boxing, while Mike Tyson points out the technical challenge Paul faces. Jake may have youth and agility, but against a fighter with Joshua's power and experience, those advantages are small. Nikisa Badarian explains that from a career standpoint, this fight is a calculated risk. Losing to Joshua doesn't necessarily hurt Paul's brand. In some ways, it might even enhance it, as long as he avoids permanent injury. The financial reward is massive. Netflix is reportedly paying Paul around $92 million, but the physical and reputational stakes are high. This isn't just entertainment. It's a real test of what a social media celebrity can survive inside a world-class boxing ring. The career implications for Paul are fascinating. A loss to Joshua might be dramatic, but oddly, it could be less damaging than a loss to someone like Tommy Fury or KSI. A decision loss to Fury could deflate Paul's image, as it would suggest he isn't capable of handling skilled fighters on a professional level. But a knockout at the hands of Joshua is expected, almost part of the narrative. Fans will tune in to see the spectacle, but they won't question Paul's marketability or courage. It's a paradox. Losing to Joshua can be a career boost, while losing elsewhere could be more damaging. The risk is clear, but the reward, financial, media, and narrative, is equally undeniable. Anthony Joshua, meanwhile, approaches the fight differently. For him, this is business and prestige. He's not just fighting Jake Paul. He's making a statement about his own legacy and dominance. His history speaks for itself. Knockouts against Klitschko, Ruiz, Usyk, and Francis Ngannou showcase his ability to handle both skill and size. Joshua doesn't struggle against smaller or similarly sized opponents. He adapts, overcomes, and often dominates. Analysts point out that even if Jake Paul survives a round or two, Joshua's preparation, power, and experience make him heavily favored. A few rounds for Paul might look impressive to casual viewers, but in boxing terms, Joshua is in total control. Looking back at Joshua's career highlights the disparity. He handled Charles Martin easily, endured a competitive war with Klitschko, and produced knockouts against Robert Helenius and Otto Wallin. Francis Ngannou, a physically imposing opponent, was also no match for Joshua's precision and power. Even in fights where Joshua may not have been at his peak physically, his skill and ring intelligence carried him to victory. Against Jake Paul, a fighter with experience mostly in exhibitions and online spectacles, the gap is even more pronounced. Analysts expect a short fight, perhaps ending in the early rounds, though the suspense comes from the uncertainty of how Paul will respond under real pressure. The mismatch is part of what makes this fight so compelling. It's not just a battle of fists, it's social media fame colliding with world-class boxing pedigree. Jake Paul's career has been built on savvy promotions, viral moments, and a combination of talent and showmanship. This fight pushes all of that to the extreme, forcing Paul to prove whether he can handle legitimate professional boxing challenges. The stakes are enormous, and every punch, feint, and movement will be scrutinized by fans, analysts, and media alike. The spectacle alone is enough to keep viewers glued to their screens. Money is, of course, a huge factor. Reports suggest Paul is earning a jaw-dropping $92 million from Netflix for this fight alone. That's enough to make most people consider taking risks they normally wouldn't. From a purely financial perspective, the gamble is enormous but potentially life-changing. For Anthony Joshua, the fight also makes sense economically, but it's less about money and more about prestige, challenge, and maintaining his dominance. For Paul, the fight represents both a massive payday and an unparalleled opportunity to cement his name in mainstream boxing. The combination of risk, reward, and spectacle makes this one of the most talked about matchups in recent memory. Experts have also discussed the potential dangers for Paul. While a one-punch knockout is dramatic, prolonged rounds of punishment could be damaging. Science shows that repetitive head trauma is far more dangerous than a single blow. In professional boxing, fighters endure multiple rounds of hits, and the cumulative effect can be serious. That's why some analysts argue that this fight, despite its spectacle, is safer for Paul in the sense that it could end quickly. However, there's no denying the risk. Joshua's power is such that even a single punch can be devastating. Every moment in the ring will test Paul's resilience, preparation, and mental focus. The psychological stakes are high, too. Jake Paul has built confidence through narrative and social media hype, but stepping into the ring with a world-class heavyweight is a different kind of mental challenge. Analysts have pointed out that facing Joshua could be transformative, not just physically, but in terms of career perception. If Paul survives a few rounds or even shows resilience, it could elevate his status dramatically. But any failure, especially if prolonged or visually punishing, could leave a lasting mark. The fight is as much about psychology as it is about technique and power. From the audience perspective, this fight is a spectacle. People are tuning in not just to watch a fight, but to watch a story unfold. A clash between fame and experience, showmanship and skill, youthful confidence and championship pedigree. Every commentator, from Rogan to Tyson, has emphasized the dramatic contrast between the fighters. Fans will be watching closely, analyzing every moment, wondering if Paul can survive, if Joshua will end it early, or if some unexpected twist will occur. The narrative tension is electric, and that's exactly what makes it perfect for streaming platforms and social media amplification. Anthony Joshua has openly commented on other fighters declining to face Paul, emphasizing the rarity of such opportunities. Fighters like Francis Ngannou turned down the bout, leaving the door open for Joshua. His reaction underscores the strategic thinking behind accepting fights and the importance of seizing rare opportunities. Analysts suggest that Joshua's involvement isn't just about the fight itself, it's about capitalizing on exposure, financial incentives, and maintaining his dominance. Paul's choice, by contrast, is a mix of business and bravado, reflecting both ambition and the spectacle-driven nature of modern boxing. Breaking down the matchup further, analysts point out that Joshua's history against shorter or similarly sized fighters is impressive. While Paul may have age and youth on his side, those factors cannot bridge the gap in skill, preparation, and ring IQ. Even if Paul survives a few rounds, Joshua's power, precision, and experience will likely dominate. The fight is exciting for viewers, but from a technical perspective, it heavily favors Joshua. Paul's path to success, if any, lies in resilience, agility, and perhaps a bit of luck. But expectations remain realistic. The world champion has the upper hand. The money factor, again, cannot be ignored. $92 million is a transformative sum, enough to justify risk for many. Netflix is banking on spectacle, Joshua is playing the strategic game, and Paul is balancing ego, ambition, and potential legacy. It's a fascinating intersection of modern celebrity culture and traditional sports. Analysts speculate on potential outcomes, from early knockouts to a surprising few rounds of survival by Paul, but the financial, reputational, and psychological stakes make this a fight that goes beyond the ring. It's entertainment, but it's also a high-stakes test of skill, courage, and preparation. Ultimately, this fight is about spectacle, money, and legacy. Jake Paul may be the provocateur, but Anthony Joshua is the benchmark of boxing excellence. The contrast between them, social media fame versus technical mastery, is what makes this matchup a must-watch. For Paul, surviving a few rounds or even enduring the experience could enhance his brand and draw massive attention. For Joshua, it's a chance to showcase his dominance and perhaps have a little fun while doing so. Analysts, fans, and casual viewers alike are glued to the story, waiting to see how this extraordinary event unfolds. As we wait for the fight, the questions remain. Can Jake Paul survive in a real heavyweight ring? Will Anthony Joshua end it quickly with a devastating knockout? How will the financial, reputational, and psychological stakes play out for both men? One thing is certain, this fight has captured the world's attention, blending the worlds of celebrity, boxing, and spectacle in a way few events ever have. And when the first bell rings, all the speculation, hype, and analysis will finally meet the harsh reality of the ring. The story doesn't end there either. Regardless of the outcome, this fight will be remembered for its audacity, its spectacle, and the dramatic contrast between fame and skill. Jake Paul may gain experience, notoriety, and financial reward, but Anthony Joshua will have the chance to reinforce why he's considered one of the most formidable heavyweights of his generation. Every punch, feint, and reaction will tell a story, and the world will be watching. The drama, the stakes, and the unpredictability are exactly why this fight has become a global conversation and why it's perfect for the modern era of boxing and streaming entertainment. In the end, the Paul versus Joshua fight isn't just about who wins or loses. It's about the spectacle of modern celebrity meeting professional sports at the highest level, the risks people are willing to take for fame and fortune, and the dramatic stories that unfold when worlds collide. Millions will tune in, debates will rage, and analysts will dissect every move for years to come. And one thing is clear, this isn't just a fight. It's a defining moment for both men, their careers, and the ever-evolving landscape of boxing in the age of social media.